Alright, this is it. The big one. The longest singular serial in all of classic Doctor Who. No story arcs spanning multiple serials don't count, and I, among most others, believe that The Trial of a Time Lord counts as 4 separate stories. I don't think anyone's willing to dispute that. Regardless, this is the one I've been dreading covering the most for its massive, mostly missing episode count. But you know what? I sat down and I watched the whole thing in one sitting. How it started versus how it's going. Hello and welcome to my review of the Daleks Master Plan. 12 straight episodes that ran from November of 1965 all the way to January of 1966. I recommend watching my quick little review of Mission to the Unknown because that single episode story counts as a direct prologue to the Daleks Master Plan, so it'll give you a better idea of the setup. If you want to skip straight to the review part of the review, then click at this point right here. I won't mind. Episodes 2, 5 and 10 are the only ones that remain in their full original form, surviving the destruction of the BBC master tapes back in the 60s. They are thankfully included in the Lost in Time box set, a must-have for any classic Who fan. Or at least it was when you could still buy Doctor Who DVDs. That then leaves the matter of how to watch the other 9 episodes. Well, again, thankfully, there is a full playlist right here on YouTube of all places, with all 9 episodes reconstructed in one form or another. And I really do mean thankfully, because I was so sick of trying to get Dailymotion to work on my PS4, so this made the whole process a lot less painful. The playlist doesn't contain the 3 full original episodes for obvious copyright reasons, so there was still a little bit of swapping between YouTube and DVD. I know the same thing contributed to the detriment of my feelings towards Season 2's The Crusade, but come on, nothing could make that story any better. Now, what sets this reconstruction apart from the usual loose cannon telesnap reconstruction is that this one is almost entirely made up of one dedicated fan's hard work. A stranger to nobody in the classic Doctor Who YouTube community, Josh Snares. Yes, that Josh Snares apparently made his own fan reconstruction using heaps of telesnaps, screenshots, and little custom animations. The production work on these is outstanding. The amount of work that must have gone into these is breathtaking. This is seriously good stuff. I am shocked by just how few views these videos have, and it's clear that a couple of them have been removed from YouTube for copyright, of course. Pretty much any of the earlier episodes that contain surviving clips from the Lost in Time DVD bonus features have been deleted, re-edited, and then re-uploaded with a different channel with those clips taken out. It does distract a little bit from those episodes, so I reckon if you can be bothered, watch those first 4 episodes up on Dailymotion, then YouTube for the rest, until the final episode where you pop back on over to Dailymotion. No disrespect who animated this, but after watching 11 episodes in the same style, it then felt wrong to adjust to a cartoony aesthetic. I cannot confirm or deny who exactly made which reconstructed version, but from what I could tell, Josh Snares is the one who put in the most effort, so should be given the most credit. Anyway, enough about how I watched it. How's about we take a look at the story, huh? Well, if you were a fan of the singular focused narrative of the Daleks' invasion of Earth like myself, then you may be a bit let down by this one. However, if you enjoyed the more varied approach they took with the chase, then I reckon you'll get a kick out of this one. Either way, I think we can all agree that this did not need to be 12 episodes long, coming in at a runtime of over 4 hours and 40 minutes.
4 hours!
I'm gonna get sued. While never outright boring, it very quickly loses focus and becomes a very scatterbrained plot. So brace yourself, dear viewers, while we go through this behemoth, episode by episode, while keeping it as brief as possible. Right, episode 1, following up immediately from the events of the Mythmakers with Stephen poisoned and Katerina off in her own little la-la land. In the year 4000, after a direct reference to Mission to the Unknown, the Doctor discovers the Daleks, along with their generic council of evil aliens, plan on using the Time Destructor to, do bad things, I guess. Episode 2, the Doctor meets Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart? Well, no, it's not actually the Brigadier, but it is the same actor making his debut appearance in Doctor Who as a completely different character named Brett. Brett gives Steven some magical space drugs which immediately heal his wounds. Anyway, they steal an important component, which is essentially the heart of this time destructor thing, and they escape in a new ship with the Daleks in hot pursuit. Episode 3, they crash land on a prison planet, which is about as exciting as the one seen in Alien 3 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, so boring and unfulfilling. And then they fly away. A pointless detour, and unfortunately not the last one we'll see in this story. Episode 4 begins with Katarina being killed off faster than Cliff Curtis in Fear the Walking Dead Season 3. Oh no, we were so attached to this new companion. Ah well, she had a short run in the TARDIS. I cannot possibly imagine anyone else lasting less than she did. The group rendezvous with a fella named Daxter. Brett kills Daxter. We meet a woman named Sarah. Sarah kills Brett. Episode 5. The Doctor, Sarah, and Steven are accidentally teleported across space with a bunch of mice as part of this horrible molecular dissemination experiment. Man, are you telling me that even in the year 4000, scientists are still testing on rodents? Man, screw scientists. It does lead to a pretty funny encounter where the Daleks say, and I quote,
"There are small white creatures. They may be hostile."
Yes, they are very hostile. Take my word for it. Episode 6, marooned on a hostile alien planet, which, spoiler alert, is the same one they started on. The Doctor and Steven immediately forgive Sarah, and she quickly joins the TARDIS team as Katarina's replacement. Kinda. They are hunted by both Daleks and these invisible creatures known as Vizians. I love the Vizians. Their creature design is so intricate, and yet so simple, being invisible and all. Heck, I love them so much that I even bought the limited edition pop vinyl of them. Look at how cool that is. This cost me $50. After the classic mud in the eye stalk routine, the Doctor manages to slip past the Daleks and somehow creates an identical replica of the Time Destructor heart. Don't ask. They regroup in the TARDIS and leave. Episode 7, The Feast of Steven. We don't talk about the Feast of Steven. So in episode 8, okay, so no, seriously, it's an entirely unrelated Christmas special involving some sitcom cops and a film shoot location. Look, people hate this anomaly of an episode, but I don't. It made me laugh. I can't say I didn't like it. Particularly in this goofy animation style, courtesy of someone on the internet. I could review this one on its own, but I won't. If you want a really cool, informative video on this random standalone episode, then I can link a great video down below. Episode 8, back on track. The Daleks have secured the Doctor's fake piece of the Time Destructor, and they've eventually figured out that it's a fraud. While still on the run, the TARDIS lands on a cricket pitch for 2 minutes for some weird reason. Huh. I can't imagine Doctor Who having anything to do with cricket of all things. I mean, how bizarre. What? You think that's bizarre? Out of absolutely nowhere, the monk from the Meddling Monk shows up at the same time the Doctor lands on a volcano, and he proceeds to weld the Doctor's TARDIS door lock shut. And then this happens. The Doctor uses his ring from Marinus to reflect the sun rays to unseal the munted door lock? What? Huh? Steven even asks about it, and all the Doctor can muster up is something about the sun or the ring having special properties. What special properties? What are you on about, Doctor? The crap they had to pull off without the sonic screwdriver. Episode 9, another pointless detour, this time to ancient Egypt. The Doctor, Steven and Sarah arrive in their TARDIS, the monk arrives in his TARDIS, and the Daleks arrive in an inexplicable time machine like the one used in The Chase. Yep, they somehow managed to construct another machine that just so happens to be bigger on the inside, can travel through time and space, and yet still isn't a TARDIS. A bunch of nothing happens, the monk has some more great banter with the Doctor before getting wrapped up like a mummy. Again, just don't ask. Episode 10, the Daleks finally acquire the genuine Time Destructor part. They go on to exterminate heaps of Egyptians, probably causing incalculable damage to the space-time continuum, or at the very least human history, until one of them is stopped by Egyptians placing a bunch of small rocks around the base so it can't move. Pathetic. The Doctor sabotages the monk's TARDIS again, this time leaving him stranded on a random ice planet, and as far as I know, that's the last we ever see or hear from him. Damn. Episode 11. The Daleks betray their generic evil villain council, which I guess means they're not bad guys anymore? As Sarah and Steven release them from captivity, they agree to gather a force to defeat the Daleks. A bit sudden, but okay, and that's the end of that plot thread. I guess they're immediately forgiven for betraying the universe. Oh yeah, and Mavik Chen dies anticlimactically. He's a pretty prominent character that I haven't mentioned once because this plot is just bloated enough already. Episode 12, just kidding, Mavik Chen's alive, but not for long because his arrogance leads to his inevitable death by Daleks. Like, come on, mate. They're Daleks, what do you expect? The Doctor makes the dumb decision of activating the Time Destructor, leading to Sarah's sudden, horrifying demise, and then a Dalek makes the even dumber decision to shoot the Time Destructor after being told time and time again how much of a terrible idea that is. Bing bang boom, the Daleks explode and the day is saved. What happened to the fleet that was on their way to conquer Earth? The Doctor, and especially Stephen, are greatly affected by the deaths of both Katerina and Sarah. They mourn their losses, then depart, leaving us with a really somber tone for an ending. There it is. The whole story. Nearly 5 hours worth. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about with this overbloated serial, but honestly, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so let's start with the most recent surprise, the horrific death of Sarah. Who cares, she did. Unfortunately, I had both Katerina and Sarah's death spoiled for me because it's one of the first things you see when reading up on the Daleks master plan. With Katerina, I never had a chance to grow attached to her, but with Sarah, she had a good little story arc. Initially being on the wrong side of things, gunning down Brett in cold blood, after being rescued by Stephen and the Doctor, she quickly began to see the bigger picture and joined the heroic cause. Technically, she lasted more episodes than Katerina, but because she was introduced and then killed off in the same story, it feels like she was the shortest lasting companion ever. Her death was so out of the blue and unnecessary too, like all you had to do was go with Stephen to the TARDIS, but no, she had to go back and check on the Doctor, who was fine, by the way. A shame, because, like I said, she could have been a cool character to follow along with. Oh well. Now, regarding her death, I have to talk about another significant missed opportunity. The big threat, the MacGuffin that they spend the entire runtime trying to stop, the Daleks Time Destroyer. We have no idea what this time bomb does. If we had a better indication of what it could do, the threat would feel a lot more palpable. As is, it's just a spooky name with a vague hint of danger. At least it actually gets used, unlike the ultimate weapon from the Keys of Marinus. And as for the Doctor's stupid decision to activate it, well, upon activation, I believe what it does is it accelerates time around it, affecting biological matter like vegetation and of course people. And that's what happens to poor Sarah. Poor girl rapidly ages like Blackbeard from the end of the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and eventually just fades into dust. What a brutal way to go. And rightfully so, Stephen is mortified. I'm not sure why the accelerated time didn't affect the Doctor, but oh well. Oh yeah, and a Dalek shoots it, which then causes them all to explode. I'm getting really tired of thinking about this now. Okay, now for the ultimate conclusion. Do I recommend you go out and watch the Daleks Master Plan? I think it's a worthwhile conclusion to a marathon, but I just can't recommend it on its own merits. It's too long, and to get the best experience, you need to use 2 different websites and a DVD. I still think it's a good serial. I was never bored, despite a lot more obvious filler content. The Christmas episode sandwiched in the middle with a fourth wall break is incredibly bizarre. There's still a lot going for it too. The monk was as incredible as ever. The costume designs were creative and fun, and for some reason different to the ones used in Mission to the Unknown. And honestly, it's a Dalek story, so it's always going to have that going for it. My brain's a bit fried from talking about it for so long. I am never going to make a review this long again, I hope. The Daleks Master Plan is one big serving of classic Doctor Who that isn't amazing, isn't terrible. It is what it is, and I'm so glad it's over. I tell you what, an abridged 6-episode, heck, even an 8-part version of this story would be so much more enjoyable. Cut out the Feast of Stephen, Egypt, and the Prison Planet, develop the Time Destructor a bit more, and you are good to go. You know what? I never thought I'd say this, but give this one the old animated treatment. Go on. And with that, we have reached the end of the review. Sorry for the excessive runtime. Thank you so much to anyone who managed to sit through the whole thing. Tune in next week while I take a look at the next lost serial, The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. I have no idea what to expect, but it's a lot shorter than this one. Oh no! Where's my Vizian pop vinyl? Ah.